We get paid by the hour. Let's keep going.
All right. Yeah, so let's keep on trucking and talk about State of Dev.
Yep.
So I don't know, not doing much. No, just kidding. Things are okay. Here's the thing. Okay, we are just as surprised as you are, but so far everything is on schedule. Like,
It's really weird. Like
so
even
weird.
the stream was on schedule.
Yeah,
We're like,
so
watching YouTube videos beforehand.
yeah, what the fuck? So I don't remember if I said last stream, but that was the first time since the game released, essentially, where we kept an internal deadline, essentially. Like, I don't even think the first release was true, because like I think we had an internal deadline that we also moved, but this is the first time we've hit like an internal deadline. Like, I know we communicated like this is when the game's coming out, but we've always had like internal deadlines where like, let's try and get it out for this time, and then we check a few weeks before, like, is it doable or not, and then we delay it internally, and then we try to communicate when we feel like, yeah, now we know for certain that we're gonna meet, whatever date we say that we're gonna meet. But this time we had an internal deadline and we completely hit it. Like,
What was that about?
Buy a lottery ticket. That's all I'm gonna say.
Buy a lottery ticket.
And this is also the first time where we kind of like set up an internal deadline for when we feel like we're going to be done with the experimental branch and move it over to early access, which we've never done before, because whenever we made something for early access or experimental, it's so random, like what can happen. Because the thing is, like, this is a big topic, but when we test, like, we have only so many hours, a day, a week, that we can spend on testing stuff. Like, this is specifically testing. This is not fixing anything, right? This is just a discovery of issues, right? And we have a pretty good track, like, of most things. And sometimes we ship an experimental build where we know, like, okay, there's an issue here, but it's okay for experimental, so we'll keep working on that and fix it for early access. And there's always things that pop up that we don't know, so it's really hard to like estimate, say like, yeah, we're gonna fix the bugs and have it on early access in this amount of weeks. But this time we were like, all right, we're hoping for 2 weeks, and so far so good. I'm gonna jinx it by saying that, but so far so good. There are only 2 really like major showstoppers bugs so far on the experimental build that we want to fix before moving it over to early access. And we feel pretty confident that we're going to be able to do it this week. So hopefully, hopefully the fluids update will go live on experimental next week, Tuesday. Fingers crossed. If everything goes according to plan. And I guess because I say that, I'm going to jinx it, but I guess we'll find out. But a lot of people are like speculating, because sometimes we've had games on early access for a long time. Like, I think update 3 was on early access for like 2 months or something, or because we waited until the Steam release before we put both versions on early access. So I think that was a little bit of an exception, actually, because of like all the Steam stuff that we want to bake in and make like a one big, but then you got both on early access immediately. So it really depends on how experimental the actual build is. So for this build, we specifically didn't want to make it too, like, we didn't add a lot of stuff that we felt weren't super confident in. So hopefully we're gonna be able to move it over to early access next week. And then the schedule as is currently is, once we're gonna still keep making patches for experimental, and then subsequently move them over to early access when we catch up and fix them. So the schedule right now, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna make a video about this either next week or like very soon, is that we're putting the fluids update on early access. After that, we have an optimization to network for conveyor belts specifically that we want to try out and test, which may not necessarily improve like the speed of how like data transfer specifically, but it will significantly improve how conveyor belts react in multiplayer. So we will make like it less buggy and desync a little bit less, if you will. Once that's done, we move it over to early access. The next patch is the experimental patch. The engine upgrade patch, which will contain a lot of goodies. Some optimization stuff, some network fixes. If I remember correctly, some desync issue fixes, potential ones. And that build is gonna be experimental. Like that's gonna contain a lot of different like stuff that we've been trying to fix. And we're gonna work on that and then move that over. And then we have one more thing that I can't remember what it is. That's also optimization stuff, but that's like one specific thing. I think it's conveyor belt network optimization work. And then fix that, move that over, and then maybe that's it. Then it's gonna be update 4, I think, is the next thing after that. So there's a lot of stuff still coming this year, on experimental specifically. Yeah, so modular build is probably the one after that one. We might swap those two. I'm not sure, the 2 second last ones, but I guess so we'll make this way more readable than just me rambling about it. I just want to give y'all an update on that. Generally, there's more stuff coming this year on experimental. So like, it's not going to be we move over this build that's on experimental right now to early access, and then it's going to be radio silence until update 4. There's going to be more stuff, but there's going to be some really experimental stuff too. So fingers crossed.
Thank God we've got an experimental branch.
Hell yeah. One thing I also would like to remind everyone, this is a bit unfortunate, on the cloud sync on the Epic early access version and the experimental version, they differ. So it's really important if you switch version that you back up your saves, because you get like a pop-up sometimes that's like, hey, there's a mismatch of file versions. If you pick the wrong one, you're gonna sync like your old, if you've played on experimental before, you're gonna sync like your old experimental folder to your local one. That will overwrite your saves. So please don't do that. Make sure to pick the right option and back up your saves if you want to switch over to experimental, because that is finicky, and that's fortunately something we really don't have control over, because that's integrated in Steam and Epic. So yeah. Oh boy, thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, there we are. We had one each.
A lot of information. I hope you guys like information, because there's plenty of it here.